That we're doing with production assistant Eric Whiting. Hey Eric, how's it going today?
Hey.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please take your seats. The show is about to begin. Now the man who weeps at the end of the Monster Squad every single time, Professor Anton Griffin.
Greetings, night creatures, and welcome to the Midnight Shadow Show, the one and only television horror-hosted theater in the great state of Texas. I am Professor Griffin, your host, and tonight we'll be spending a very blood-soaked evening with two of the modern monsters of the 80s. That's right, the Sultan of Slaughter and the bastard son of 100 maniacs, the Crystal Lake Killer and the Springwood Slasher, the unstoppable killing machine, Jason Voorhees, and Freddy Fred Krueger. Tonight, all in preparation for the wonderful new film coming out, Freddy vs. Jason. Tonight we will examine these modern monsters and we'll get to know them a little better, night creatures. Let's meet Freddy and Jason.
It's no contest. Krueger would carve that backwoods hillbilly into ribbons.
Are you kidding? JV would cleave Laughing Boy in two.
Jason is mindless and unthinking. Freddy could easily outwit him in a duel to the death. I bet even you could.
Ha! Before Pizza Face could even get out one of his stupid one-liners, Jason would have impaled him on any number of pointy implements. Ha!
Now, you two. Night creatures, may I present my assistants, Usher and Dan Dan. Look, you two, I applaud loyalty, but there is something to be said for both of these modern monsters. Hopefully, by the end of this evening, we will make Jasonites out of Fred heads and give all the Fred Krueger fans a new way of looking at the Sultan of Slaughter.
Fine. We should start with Freddy. He's better anyway.
What? That's dumb! Jason came first, and anyway, there would be no Freddy without Jason.
That's just not true. Wes Craven wrote Elm Street way before Sean Cunningham wrote Friday the 13th.
But which came first?
All right, both of you stop. We'll do this chronologically. The first Friday the 13th appeared in the year of horror 1980, and the first Nightmare on Elm Street appeared in 1984. So, we will start with the Sultan of Slaughter, Jason Voorhees.
Yes! Jason, he's a man. If he can't kill him, no one can. Woo!
Fine. We'll just save the best for last.
Now, if we may begin. Prepare yourselves, night creatures. We are about to meet the greatest boogeyman of the campfire world. Every counselor's worst nightmare. The one, the only, Jason Voorhees.
I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm going to give it to you straight about Jason. His body was never recovered from the lake after he drowned.
There was a time, night creatures, when a hockey mask meant only one thing, a game of hockey. Now, however, American pop culture has imprinted us with another image whenever we see a goalie mask. Jason Voorhees, the maniacal killer from the Friday the 13th series who took to wearing this rather stylish facial covering after killing an overweight, practical joking teen named Shelley in the third film and taking it from him.
Yes, these films were not just slasher films. You know, they were like morality plays, really. Although that fact escaped most of the public and the critics who never really understood these films. I mean, these films were kind of like that grand poupon theater of horror in Paris,
yes,
you know?
Yes,
where they would, like, dare the audience to watch, to be titillated, and then shocked by the gruesome horror.
Very true, Double D. Now, the original Friday the 13th was set in a closed-down summer camp, and it starts with ominous warnings by the local nut Crazy Ralph.
Yes.
Got a death curse. The mood of the film is sustained by the eerie sounds of the forest, as one by one, teenagers are done in. The thunderstorm that starts during the film actually makes things more tension-filled as lightning flashes and thunder peals create a great mood. Plus, there's the infamous Friday the 13th music, one of the most instantly recognizable themes in horror movie history, along with the thunderstorms. In fact,
You know, the main appeal of these movies was the incredibly realistic gore. In fact, these series of films put Tom Savini on the map as a special effects genius. As one by one, these poor wayward kids are, well, they're stabbed and they're shot with arrows and they're cleaved in the face with axes and, oh yes, and the young Kevin Bacon is actually impaled with a sharp implement from underneath his cot. Yes, these films were gruesome, explicit, and left nothing to the imagination.
Now, the killer in the original Friday the 13th was not Jason Voorhees, but his mother, a middle-aged woman by the name of Pamela Voorhees.
Jason was my son, and today is his birthday.
Jason was her only son, who drowned at that same camp. The counselors who should have been watching Jason were off having sex while her little boy drowned. Jason was a very special child. Born a mongoloid, he needed to be watched at all times. But teenage sinners filled with lust, drugs, and alcohol, well, they fell down on the job, and poor little Jason, who just loved to swim, drowned.
Yes, all of this violence could have been avoided if young Jason had just worn a life vest.
Now,
Important tip for you weak swimmers out there.
absolutely. Enraged beyond all sense of right or wrong, Pamela Voorhees decides to strike back, vowing that Camp Crystal Lake would never, ever open again. It's not fair, night creatures, that her brave, precious, special little boy should die, while these teenage sinners lived on without a care in the world. Oh, Mrs. Voorhees would make them care. Yes, she would.
Oh, yes, she would. And so, friends, from 1980, here it is, Friday the 13th.
Hello? Who's that? Oh, hi. What are you doing out in this mess?
1, 2, 3,
We weren't doing anything. We were just messing with
4, 5, 6,
Must be in my imagination.
7,
Can I help you?
8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Friday the 13th. You may only see it once, but that will be enough. Friday the 13th.
Mrs. Voorhees' blood rage was finally ended when a brave young counselor named Alice beheaded her with a machete on the shores of Crystal Lake. Rest in peace, Mrs. Voorhees.
Didn't Jason actually appear at the end of the original?
Oh, yeah! Jason Voorhees made an appearance in a famous jump-out-of-your-seat shock ending in Friday the 13th, but he didn't actually make his debut as a killer until Friday the 13th, Part 2.
On a June night in 1980, Friday the 13th, 12 of her friends were murdered. Why should Friday the 13th, 1981 be any different? Friday the 13th, Part 2. The body count continues. 14.
All doomed. You're all doomed.
15.
God.
16. 17. 18. 19. 20. 21. 22. 23.
Sandra? Jeff?
The day you count on for terror is not over. Friday the 13th, Part 2.
I have to admit, those trailers are pretty cool.
Hey, you ain't seen nothing yet.
So Jason wears a pillowcase on his head.
Well, yes. At this point in the series, his look hadn't really been perfected yet, okay? I mean, he wears a plaid shirt, overalls, and a pillowcase tied around his head with one eye hole cut out.
He's lucky the Elephant Man didn't sue.
I'd like to, at this time, Night Creatures, to theorize on the exact age of Jason Voorhees. And to assist me, I've actually asked a camp counselor from Camp Crystal Lake to join me. This is Camp Counselor Jimmy. Hello, Jimmy. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Professor. It's great to be here.
Yes. Jimmy, let me begin by asking you, why would you, indeed, why would anyone keep going back to Camp Crystal Lake after everything that happened there?
Sex, drugs, and alcohol, man. The place is like Xanadu.
Huh?
It's simple. There's something in the water there, man. Turns the women into nymphomaniacs. All they want to do is get naked and get busy. Just being there almost guarantees you're going to get laid.
Yes, and that almost guarantees that you'll go home in a bag.
There's risk, but you get nookie.
Anyway, Night Creatures, let's take a look. Jason Voorhees was born on Friday, June 13th, 1946, according to Jason Goes to Hell. Now, he drowns in 1957, making him 11 years old at the time. 22 years later, the events of the first film take place, making him 33 years old, and when he starts killing outright in Part 2, a year after the original, he is 34 years old. So 34 years old is a bit of a late bloomer as far as the psycho killers go. I mean, Michael Myers started when he was 6.
Got any more beer?
Who gave Camp Counselor Jimmy beer?
The year of horror, 1982, saw the release of Alone in the Dark, The Beast Within, Christine, Creepshow, Poltergeist, The Evil Dead, and of course, the return of Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th, Part 3, in 3D.
Not only was Jason Voorhees in your face, literally, but this was the film where he acquires the famous hockey mask, which changes the way America looks at the goalie forever.
Coincidentally, Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, was released in 1981, and the lead villain, Lord Humongous, bears a hockey mask and looks very much like the Jason we know today. Could the producers of Friday the 13th seen this and wanted Jason to adapt this look?
Anything's possible.
Yes, and Jason also picked out something in this one that he would remain with him for the rest of the series, the axe wound to the left side of the head.
That's right. Now, this film takes place immediately after the events in Part 2, which puzzled Jasonophiles because Jason has suddenly gained 20 to 30 pounds and has lost all the hair on his head. Well, continuity be damned. This Jason, played by Richard Broker, is a monster. Huge, hulking, and deliberate. This Jason worked very, very hard in this film.
Yes, he's a very busy little bee, racking up 12 more bodies with a running total of 22 for the series.
That's right. Now, Jason just kills a bunch of kids who are vacationing in a cabin in the woods. They have nothing to do with opening a camp. They have nothing to do with Camp Crystal Lake. They're just post-high school graduates trying to have a good time, drinking, smoking, and trying to get laid.
In Jason's woods? Big mistake.
Weekends are a good time to escape to the woods. Unless the weekend begins with Friday the 13th. Because 13 is an unlucky number. But out here, so are 1 through 12. Because these are Jason's woods. And nobody leaves them alive. Friday the 13th, Part 3 in 3D. Jason, you can't fight him. You can't stop him. And now, you can't even keep him on the screen. Friday the 13th, Part 3 in 3D. Now, when it comes to killing in Jason's woods, Jason will come to you. Friday the 13th, Part 3 in 3D. A new dimension in terror. It will scare you. Count on it.
Well, Usher, what do you think so far?
I have to admit, there's more to Jason than meets the eye.
Now, Night Creatures, in my personal opinion, the next film is the greatest Friday the 13th of the golden era. It is the one that audiences have been waiting for. It promised the death of Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, like that was gonna happen.
Actually, Usher, it did. A young boy named Tommy Jarvis, played by Corey Feldman, ends Jason's reign of terror with a machete chop to the side of the head, and Jason greases the blade with his brain pan as he slides down.
That's very descriptive.
Yes, I get all choked up thinking about it. Now, in this film, Jason is played by Ted White, who goes uncredited in the film. And he is very, very angry and very inventive, finding time to nail one victim up to a doorway cruciform style, who, by the way, was Crispin Glover from Back to the Future, and nailing another one behind the door with a railroad spike. He apparently found a box of these things. Anyway, Jason must ask himself, why do they keep coming into my woods? They're like roaches.
The Sultan of Slaughter is dead. Long live the Sultan of Slaughter.
It will be years before we see the one and only real Jason Voorhees again.
Three times before, you have felt the terror, known the madness, lived the horror. But this is the one you've been screaming for. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Jason is back. He moves like a shadow, dark and silent.
Sorry you changed your mind?
He never utters a word. He doesn't even seem to breathe.
Where the hell's the corkscrew?
He simply, mindlessly, mercilessly kills. But now, Jason's reign of terror is over. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Friday, April 13th, is Jason's unlucky day.
The producers at Paramount were actually very ashamed of the Friday the 13th series, although they didn't mind counting the money. You see, the Friday the 13th series started to get sort of unwanted attention from the MPAA, that's the Motion Picture Association of America, for its excessive gore and violence. And the video nasties debate in England kept these types of films out of the popular entertainment. Paramount didn't seem to mind, but they really didn't mention it. They treated the series like an eccentric rich uncle that nobody talks about.
Yeah, but Paramount must have realized their mistake in killing off Jason, because they quickly planned a sequel to transition to a grown-up Tommy Jarvis as the killer.
If the memory of Jason still haunts you, you're not alone. Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning.
Severe trauma at age 12. Brutal self-defense, murder of a psychopathic killer. Boy, they've given him every therapy they can think of. It's wonder his mind isn't fried with all the drugs they've given him.
The mindless, murderous fury that was buried with Jason has been reborn.
Pete!
And suddenly, terror has become child's play. Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning.
Friday the 13th, Part 5 was the least successful of the series, so Paramount did the only thing they could to save their bloody cash cow.
They brought Jason, the one and only, back to life in a flash of lightning.
Ah, you mean with the flash of lightning.
So, he's undead now.
Yes.
It's about time.
The return of the Sultan of Slaughter was heralded by giveaway collectible 45s at the movie theater, featuring Alice Cooper singing a catchy little ditty called He's Back, the Man Behind the Mask. I still have mine.
He's back. He's the man behind the mask. And it's out of control. He's back. The man behind the mask. And he crawled out of his one can turn out the lights. Yeah, 'cause he's back. He's the man behind the mask. And he's out of control. He's back. The man behind the mask. And he's after your soul. He's back. He's the man behind the mask. And he's out of control. He's back. The man behind the mask. And he's after your soul. He's back. He's the man behind the mask. And he's out of control. He's back.
Yes, and Tommy Jarvis is back as well, this time played by Tom Matthews of Return of the Living Dead. And ironically enough, the man responsible for putting Jason into the ground is now responsible for bringing him back to life.
Yes. Apart from the years he spent to rot, Jason Voorhees still sports all the old wounds from the previous films that you all remember, I'm sure. Oh, well, just in case you don't. Great googly moogly, Usher, what did you do?
Nothing, I swear. I found this here when I arrived.
Where's Camp Counselor Jimmy?
He was standing here by the flip chart, drinking beer, and...
Nah. Well, anyway, Night Creatures, let's review. The wounds of Jason Voorhees are as follows. He's had a television smashed on his head, along with a log and a shovel smashed on his head. He was hung from a rope. He has a chainsaw wound to his arm, a knife wound to his hand, machete wounds to his back, machete wounds to his hand, a knife wound to his knee, and a machete wound on his chest, another machete wound on his shoulder, a hammer claw wound in the back of his neck, the axe wound in the side of his head, and, of course, the infamous machete wound, which was the killing blow delivered by Tommy Jarvis in Part 4 here. Yes, our boy Jason is quite a mess. But he's undead now, so it doesn't really matter. John Carl Buechler, the special effects director for movies like Ghoulies and Troll and the very entertaining Deathstalker, actually directed Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood, and his influence can be mostly seen in the new undead appearance of Jason. He looks amazing, Night Creatures, his ribcage heaving, mandible gnashing, gray-green skin rotting on his body. He just looks absolutely amazing, but he bears little or no resemblance to the Jason we all knew and loved.
This marks the first appearance of Kane Hodder as Jason.
That's right. At 6'3" tall, Hodder stands head and shoulders above all the rest. Now, Kane Hodder actually went back and worked out character motivation for Jason. He was determined to make this a monster that only he could play, giving him backstory and real emotion there. And for Kane, it was indeed the new blood, because he gave a lot to this role. Most of all, his skin, actually. In one part, Night Creatures, a fire stunt doesn't go completely correct, and Kane Hodder is severely burned under the makeup. He still sports the scar tissue to this day, but he holds nothing against Jason or Friday the 13th, because he claims the part, Night Creatures. Jason is being played by Kane Hodder for the remainder of these films.
Friday the 13th, Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan. New York has a new problem. Rated R. Now playing at theaters everywhere.
This is stupid. Jason goes to New York. You've got to be kidding me. This was a low point in the series, wasn't it? I'm guessing that this was the last Friday the 13th that Paramount produced. So what happened?
Well, at the film's conclusion, they trapped Jason in a New York sewer.
They drowned him in some toxic waste.
And he reverts to an 11-year-old boy.
That is ridiculous. Was Paramount trying to kill the series?
But on the bright side, Paramount then sells the rights to New Line Cinema.
Yeah, but they didn't buy the rights to use the title Friday the 13th.
That's why the next film in the series is called Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday.
Horror has many faces. Death wears many different masks. But pure evil wears only one. And this is your final chance to see it. Jason Goes to Hell. The final Friday.
A nice treat at the conclusion of this film. The familiar razored glove comes out of the ground and pulls Jason's mask down into the underworld.
Yes, after Jason was condemned to hell by his niece, Freddy Krueger pulls his mask into the ground, confirming to us all that the reign of the slasher was indeed dead. The year was 1993. Rest in peace, again, Jason Voorhees.
Until the next film.
In the year 2455, on a routine training mission, a team of students is about to discover a life form frozen in time.
Wow. They're on their way back. The paper donkey and power of the lab.
You brought him on board?
Everything's under control, man. What the hell is going on?
Jason Voorhees, that's what's going on. He's an unstoppable killing machine.
It's okay. He just wanted his machete back.
How do we get off the ship?
I don't know. Look, we're gonna be all right.
What? Are you high?
Uh-oh.
He's here. You have got to get them out of there.
Hey, Slappy!
I think we're finally okay.
What the hell is that? You gotta be kidding me.
Oh, wow.
Modified. Oh, is it big?
You guys might want to run.
I don't think he's out there.
Why don't you just stick your head out and have a peek?
I gotta say, Mr. Professor, this was a great trip down memory lane.
Yes.
I must say, I'm impressed. I didn't realize the series was so complex.
Well, I, for one, am a huge fan of the Friday the 13th series, and I can't wait to see what's next. Here's to Jason Voorhees. Long may his blades be sharp.
And he is gonna kick Freddy's ass.
I hate to say it, he might.
Yes, well, before we get into that and talk about the beast battle of the new century, let's meet Jason's opponent tonight, Fred Krueger. Dan, did we finish cleaning up after Camp Counselor Jimmy? Let's lock all the doors and the windows, and then join me back here on the stage. Let's take a trip, night creatures, into the world of nightmares. Greetings, night creatures, and welcome back. We're about to meet the second of our great 80s slashers, but before we begin, I thought we'd all get into the mood, so to speak.
Oh, geez. You're not going to tell us the story of how you got that watch from Christopher Walken again, are you?
No, I'm not. Everyone just concentrate on my watch. Just pay attention. Watch it swing back and forth. And relax. Feel yourself relaxing from your toes to your legs, your arms, your fingertips, to the top of your head. You are getting sleepy. Sleepy. Relax. When I count to 3, we will all be absolutely, totally asleep. 1, 2, 3.
Watch out.
No, wait, everyone wake up. No. Let's not do that. Wake up, everyone. That's very dangerous. We should not do that. Usher, put a pot of coffee on. Dan, turn on all the lights. We are not going to sleep.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
No kidding, Heather.
It was a year of horror in 1984, and Wes Craven was about to change horror movies forever.
Craven had written the idea for Elm Street years before and tried to sell it to many studios, but they all balked at the idea until New Line decided to take a gamble and film the movie, which was a radical departure about a dream killer who would kill kids in their sleep.
And if you die in your dream, you die in real life.
Yes. Now, Craven was actually influenced by two elements in creating Fred Krueger. One, he and his brother were terrified when they were children when they saw this homeless man with an evil, leering face and a brown fedora. Secondly, the name Fred Krueger was actually a childhood bully who used to beat up on poor little Wes Craven in the playground.
Craven was also influenced by a story of a little boy who wouldn't go to sleep because he was afraid of his dreams. And when he finally did go to sleep, he never woke up.
Yes, all these elements blended together and mixed with a healthy dose of Wes Craven's amazing storytelling ability, and A Nightmare on Elm Street was born.
The kids of Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them.
There's something out there, isn't there?
You just see cuts happening.
What did that tell?
I don't know.
Tina!
What did the coroner doctor say?
He's in the jar and puking since he saw it.
They're gonna kill me for sure.
Did you do it?
There was somebody else there.
He was locked in a room with a girl who went in alive and came out in a rubber bag.
No one knows where it came from or who it will visit next.
Nancy? There's something wrong with you. You're imagining things.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Do you believe in the boogeyman?
No.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
No!
She's the only one who can stop it. If she fails,
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
no one will survive. From Wes Craven, director of The Hills Have Eyes and Last House on the Left, a new masterpiece in fantasy terror, Nightmare on Elm Street.
A Nightmare on Elm Street was a huge hit, Night Creatures. People were strangely compelled and fascinated by this new killer on the block. This was no hulking madman with a chainsaw, no masked brute living in the woods with an axe. This was a dream manipulator, a psychotic killer who took amazing glee in tormenting his victims.
The story itself is about a group of young teenagers who are all haunted by the same eerie nightmare of some boogeyman. Burned, red and green striped sweater, brown dirty hat, and worst of all, the razor-sharp knives on his glove.
Yes, this weapon, he made it himself a kind of a death glove?
Yes, he does at the beginning of the film. But even worse than Krueger's appearance is his history.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
He was a filthy child murderer who killed lots of kids in the neighborhood.
3, 4, better lock your door.
Until a group of vigilante parents tracked him down to the boiler room where he used to take his kids and burned the sadistic Krueger alive.
Well, he had it coming.
5, 6, grab your crucifix.
Worse than that, Krueger found a way to manifest himself in people's dreams. So now this sadistic killer had the dream world to manipulate in his own twisted imagination, could really run wild.
7, 8, gonna stay up late.
Krueger was unstoppable until a brave young teenager named Nancy Thompson, played by Heather Langenkamp, figured out how to defeat Krueger on his own turf. She managed to bring him out of the dream world and made him real.
And if they're real, they're vulnerable.
And if they're vulnerable, they can be hurt or killed.
That's right.
9, 10, never sleep again.
The film also featured Johnny Depp in his first film appearance and genre hero John Saxon as Nancy's father.
And as Fred Krueger?
Originally, Wes Craven wanted David Warner in the role of Fred Krueger, but Warner backed out, saying he had played far too many villains in his career. Auditions were held, and Robert Englund won the role. Now, Englund had appeared in Tobe Hooper's Eaten Alive as Buck, and on the TV miniseries V as Willie, the friendly alien. But this was his big role. After 1984, Robert Englund became a horror star as Fred Krueger.
Someone is coming back to Elm Street. He is not friendly. He is not patient. And he is not a welcome visitor. But he has something terribly special for the new kid on the block.
It started to happen again.
Dad! You trouble. You've had some scary dreams, okay? Help!
Daddy can't help you now.
There's something inside him.
Fight him! You are not afraid of him. He doesn't even exist.
Freddy Krueger is back on Elm Street.
Get out of here, Lisa! Fight him!
Watch out for him. He'll be in your neighborhood soon. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 2.
Oh, my children now.
Freddy's Revenge.
The sequel to A Nightmare on Elm Street was not directed by Wes Craven, although they did ask him to do it. Jack Shoulder stepped in. And it's dark and it's twisted, but it takes the Krueger mythology in a weird territory.
They even changed Krueger's look a bit. They added stripes to the arms of his sweater, and they'd also made his makeup slimy and smooth.
Yes, that's right. And the film, it misfired a bit. In the film, Krueger was attempting to possess the body of a boy named Jesse. And in the end, Krueger is defeated by the power of love.
That was dumb.
Yes. Well, they learned their mistake, because in the next film, they went back to Wes Craven for a story treatment he called The Dream Warriors.
Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 3. Freddy's just around the corner.
Dream Warriors? Isn't that a song by Dokken?
Yes, it is, but we'll get to that in a minute. Yes, The Dream Warriors. Now, in that film, Wes Craven created an army of kids who could manifest themselves into powers and abilities in their dreams. Krueger Mania had swept across the nation by that time. Krueger had appeared on T-shirts, on posters, on coffee mugs, you name it, he was there. They even had rap songs. DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince recorded A Nightmare on My Street. Listen.
Now, I have a story that I'd like to...
And the Fat Boys even had a hit with Are You Ready for Freddy?
Even Robert Englund rapped in that song as Krueger.
Yes. But it took Krueger out of the dark territory and exposed him a little too much. He was losing sort of the scariness he had in that first film.
Yeah, a bit overexposed, like J-Lo.
Freddy's home.
Dream
Krueger ruled at the box office, Night Creatures, and was quickly resurrected for another sequel. Unfortunately, Nancy was not.
Do you know what terror is?
Hello. Do you live here? Nobody lives here.
Real terror. How long has it been since you've been on Elm Street? Welcome to a brand new nightmare. He is the first in fear. Second to none.
Don't let them put you to sleep.
He has no mercy. And no equal. Now no one sleeps. Get ready. This August, your wildest dreams will come true. How sweet, fresh meat. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 4. The Dream Master.
A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master, although the biggest moneymaker of the series, was sort of the downtrend for Krueger. It began his descent into the silly Fred Krueger that we all loathe.
Which meant more to come.
Yes, always more to come.
Delivered. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 5. The Dream Child.
Okay, so what happened to Krueger at the end of Part 4?
Krueger is destroyed by gazing into a mirror.
You're kidding, right?
3 words. Jason takes Manhattan.
All right. So Krueger is destroyed by gazing into a mirror until the next film, right?
You guessed it.
As a boy, he was always different. No one understood him.
You ready for it, boy? It's time to take your medicine.
Thank you, sir.
No one could control him.
Go inside, honey.
But now, it's a new beginning. The beginning of the end for Freddy.
Every town has an Elm Street. I'm screaming while the bus is in motion.
It's your mind or go for it.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little soul, too.
We're gonna have to hit him with everything we've got.
Now I'm playing with power.
We're in Twin Peaks here. It's gotta be me and him.
You want to live?
What's with kids today, huh?
Freddy's Dead. The final nightmare.
Great graphics.
They saved the best for last.
Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare, was truly intended as the final in the series, and we are given information overload about Krueger.
He is married.
To a woman named Loretta.
He has a daughter.
Named Catherine Kruger.
He was abused as a child.
By his foster father, played by Alice Cooper. In this film, we find out that Dr. Maggie Burroughs is actually the daughter of the bastard son of 100 maniacs. So, Kruger has an elaborate plot to bring her to Springwood, which now has no children living in it at all, to kill her.
Yvette Koto also stars in this film.
That's right. Finally, Kruger's daughter grabs him, brings him out to the dream world, like Nancy did in the original, impales him, and then blows him to pieces with dynamite.
Releasing the dream demons that gave him his power.
The end.
It's a shame this series had to end this way. There was a lot of celebrity cameos.
Yep, there sure was. Roseanne Barr, Tom Arnold, Johnny Depp, they all made appearances. The film was actually pretty exciting. The ending was in 3D, but it was sort of a sad way to end this fabulous series, Night Creatures. It took Wes Craven himself to return to the director's chair and finish it properly with Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
In a town where movies go over schedule and directors go over budget, something far more evil is out of control.
The world of horror films suffered its own terror today as two of Hollywood's best-known special effects technicians were found dead.
Part of the theme of the movie is becoming like part of the making of the movie.
Can you come with me in my dreams? I think that only happens in the movies.
It happens when the story dies, the evil is set free. Now that the films have ended, the genie's out of the bottle. That's what the nightmares are telling me, and that's what I'm writing.
This is still a script we're talking about, right, Wes?
Trying to cross over out of films into our reality. The only way to stop him is to make another movie.
Oh my God. The bad man's getting awful close.
You're gonna have to make a choice.
What kind of choice?
Whether or not you're willing to be Nancy one last time.
Cut the effect!
Isn't there somebody who can stop him?
That person's you.
Who I mean?
It was you that gave Nancy her strength.
Where's my son?
My brain hurts!
Oh, and the Friday the 13th series is much easier to understand.
Yeah, well, the Nightmare on Elm Street movies are so inventive and exciting.
Yes, but what happens when you bring these two universes together, Night Creatures?
Hey! You got your Dream Stalker in my Camp Crystal Lake!
I got your hockey mask in my boiler room.
Two great frights that fight great together.
Warn your friends. Warn everyone.
Welcome to my nightmare.
We're not safe awake or asleep.
Why won't you die? Freddy versus Jason.
Place your bets.
Can your heart stand the shock, Night Creatures? Fred Krueger and Jason Voorhees together in a film that has been teased since the ending of Jason Goes to Hell.
Yes, that's right, and after 10 years away, Robert Englund returns to once again play his part as Fred Krueger.
And Kane Hodder is replaced by Ken Kurtzinger. It's all about the mask, baby.
That's right. This film finds Fred Krueger manipulating Jason Voorhees into killing the Springwood kids for him.
Yeah, but how does he do it? How does he control Jason?
Why, the way Amy Steele did in Friday the 13th Part 2, by appearing as the one person in the world who Jason loved and trusted.
Mrs. Pamela Voorhees.
That's right, but when Jason finds out, he is not a happy camper.
And then the Battle of the Beasts begins.
That's right.
I can't wait for this one.
It's directed by Ronnie Yu, who did a wonderful job with Bride of Chucky, and is co-produced by Sean Cunningham and Wes Craven.
So stay out of the woods.
And don't fall asleep.
Because the two greatest boogeymen icon of the 1980s are coming back in 2003 with Freddy versus Jason.
The show is over, ladies and gentlemen.
And until next time we meet at the Midnight Shadow Show, this is Professor Anton Griffin with Usher and Dan Dan saying to you all, rest in peace.
And splunge, baby, splunge!